Something is happening in your yard right now, not at night, not in secret, in broad daylight. On your feeder, on your fence, on the ground beneath your trees, and most people who see it assume the birds are resting. They are not resting. Right now, as summer settles over your neighborhood, every small bird in your yard is in the middle of a survival crisis you cannot see, and every single strange behavior they show you is a clue. Today, we are going to decode every one of those clues: the panting, the drooped wings, the midday silence, the bird lying flat on the ground. And we are going to talk about the things in your yard, the things you put there to help them, that are actually making everything worse. Welcome back to Backyard Bird Mysteries. If you are new here, this channel exists because your backyard is stranger and more alive than you think. Make sure you subscribe, because what you are about to learn today will change how you see your yard for the rest of summer. Here is what almost no one knows about the birds in your yard. On a completely normal day, not a heat wave, not the hottest day of the year, just a regular summer afternoon, a small bird's internal body temperature is already running at 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Yours is 98.6. Theirs is 104, before the heat wave even starts. Now, think about that. When the air temperature outside hits 90, or 95, or 100 degrees, a bird is already operating 5 or 6 degrees hotter than you are, with nowhere to go, because here is the cruel irony of bird biology. Feathers are one of nature's greatest insulation systems. In winter, they keep body heat in with extraordinary efficiency. In summer, that same insulation becomes a trap. A bird sitting on your feeder on a 95-degree day is wearing a down jacket it cannot remove. And it has no sweat glands, not a single one. You sweat, dogs pant. Horses sweat and pant. Birds have to get creative. And the strategies they use, the ones you are watching right now from your kitchen window without realizing it, are some of the most desperate and ingenious survival behaviors in the animal kingdom. The first thing you will notice, if you have not already, is the bird with its beak open, not singing, not eating, just sitting there on the perch, beak wide open, breathing rapidly. This is not yawning. This is not a sign that something is wrong with this particular bird. This is gular fluttering. The bird is vibrating the thin muscles in its throat at a very high frequency, fast enough to evaporate moisture from the lining of its mouth and airways. It is the bird version of sweating, except instead of evaporating moisture from skin, the bird is evaporating moisture from inside its respiratory system. And it works. It genuinely works as a cooling mechanism. But here is the cost. Every single breath costs water. A small bird engaged in sustained gular fluttering can lose 5% of its body weight in water in a single hour. A black-capped chickadee weighs about 11 grams. 5% of 11 grams is half a gram. That sounds like nothing, but scaled to a human body, it is the equivalent of you losing 4 pounds of water in 60 minutes. If that cardinal on your feeder does not find water to replace what it is losing through every open beak breath, and find it soon, it will not make it to sundown. Not in a few days, not tomorrow, today. Now watch for the wings. When a bird lifts its wings slightly away from its body, not spreading them for flight, just holding them out a fraction of an inch from its sides, it is not injured, it is not sick, it is not about to fall. It is using its wings as radiators. The underwing area has less feather coverage than the rest of the body. The skin there is thinner, and there are more blood vessels running close to the surface. By holding its wings slightly open, the bird is exposing those blood vessels to the air, dumping body heat through the thinnest skin it has. Robins do this constantly. In the heat cardinals do it. Sparrows do it. You will see them on your fence post, or on the edge of your feeder. Wings slightly drooped, beak open, completely still. They look sick. They look like something is deeply wrong. They are thermoregulating with everything they have. But here is what that stillness really means. A bird standing motionless with drooped wings and an open beak is a bird at its physiological limit. It has suppressed all unnecessary activity. It is doing nothing it does not absolutely have to do in order to survive the next hour. Here is the one that is going to be hardest to hear. That bird bath you filled last week. The one you look at from your kitchen window and feel good about. If you have not changed the water and scrubbed the basin in the last 48 hours, it is not helping the birds. It is hurting them. In summer heat, standing water in a bird bath becomes a breeding ground for bacteria, algae, and parasites within 2 days. Sometimes faster, diseases like trichomoniasis and salmonellosis thrive in warm, stagnant water. A sick bird visits the bath. It drinks, it splashes, it leaves behind pathogens. The warm water incubates them. The next bird arrives. Already stressed from the heat, its immune system is suppressed, and it gets sick. Researchers have documented disease outbreaks at backyard bird baths that killed dozens of birds in a single yard. All traced back to water that homeowners thought was fine because it still looked clean. The water does not have to look dirty to be deadly. If you are not scrubbing your bird bath and replacing the water every single day in summer, every single day, you are running a bacteria farm, and the birds cannot tell the difference. If you have a bird bath and you are realizing right now that it has been more than 48 hours, go change it after this video. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. This is the kind of thing that actually saves birds. There is something else in your yard that is hurting them, and you have almost certainly never thought about it. Your metal feeder pole, your metal perches, the metal tray on your platform feeder. On a 95-degree day, in direct sunlight, exposed metal surfaces can become hot enough to cause tissue damage on contact. Birds will often avoid metal feeders entirely during the hottest hours of the day. Not because they are not hungry, because the perch burns. Your birds are choosing between food and pain every afternoon. There is an easy fix: move the feeder to the shade. It takes 30 seconds, and it changes everything. Have you ever noticed that your yard goes completely silent in the middle of the day? No birds at the feeders, no singing, no movement. And then, around 5 or 6 in the evening, they all come back. Where do they go? Birds shift their entire daily schedule in extreme heat. The feeding windows that exist in spring compress into 2 narrow windows during summer, early morning, and late evening. From roughly 11 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon, most songbirds enter what researchers call heat-induced lethargy, not sleep, not rest. A deliberate suppression of all non-essential activity in order to reduce the metabolic heat their own bodies generate. They retreat to the deepest shade they can find, the interior of dense shrubs, the canopy of tall trees, and they go completely still. They are hiding from the sun the way you would hide from a storm. So if you are checking your feeders at noon and wondering where all the birds went, they did not leave. Your yard is not empty. It is full of birds trying not to die. This next behavior is critical, because getting it wrong could cost a bird its life, or cause you to disturb one that is completely fine. When a bird lies flat on the ground with its wings spread wide, feathers puffed, and eyes half closed, it looks injured. Most people rush outside thinking something is terribly wrong. In most cases, the bird is sunbathing. Birds deliberately expose themselves to direct sunlight at specific angles to maximize heat absorption on particular patches of feathers. Researchers believe this helps with feather maintenance, stimulates the production of preen oil, and may help dislodge parasites. A bird lying flat in the sun, looking relaxed and completely unbothered by your presence, is almost certainly fine. Do not disturb it. But a bird lying flat in the shade, unable to move, not lifting its head, not responding when you approach, is experiencing heat exhaustion. That is a bird in crisis. The distinction is simple. Sunbathing in the sun, wings spread deliberately, head raised or relaxed, alert. Heat exhaustion in the shade, collapsed, unresponsive. Needs help immediately. If you find the second one, move it gently to a cool, dark, ventilated box. Do not try to force water into its mouth. Contact a wildlife rehabilitator as soon as possible. Here is the hardest part of this story. The birds most at risk during a heat wave are not the adults you see at your feeder. They are the ones you cannot see. Right now, in late spring and early summer, your yard is full of nests. And those nests are full of chicks whose thermoregulatory systems are not yet developed. Nestling cardinals, baby robins, newly hatched chickadees. They cannot pant effectively. They cannot move to shade. They cannot do anything except depend entirely on their parents, who are already stretched to their own physiological limits by the heat. When temperatures climb high enough, nest temperatures can become deadly. Parent birds will stand over the nest and spread their wings to create shade, sacrificing their own cooling to protect the chicks below. They can hold this position for hours. And if a parent abandons the nest to search for water because it is overheating itself, the chicks can die in minutes. This is happening in your yard right now, in every nest you have not found. The best thing you can do for those chicks is exactly what you are already doing for the adults. Provide clean water, provide shade, and avoid disturbing nesting areas. Here is the single biggest thing you can do for the birds in your yard this summer: moving water. Not a still bird bath, moving water, a dripper, a mister, a small recirculating fountain. Birds can hear the sound of dripping or splashing water from remarkable distances, and in the heat, that sound becomes a magnet. Something as simple as a container dripping into a shallow dish can attract birds that would never visit a still bird bath. The movement keeps the water fresher, and the sound tells every bird nearby that water is available right now. Place moving water in the shade, near dense shrubs, so birds can drink, bathe, and immediately retreat to cover. If you do one thing for the birds in your yard this summer, add moving water in the shade. It is the difference between a yard that birds visit and a yard that birds survive in. The second thing is even simpler. Shade, deliberate shade, not just whatever trees happen to be in your yard. Shade placed intentionally over the places where birds eat, drink, and gather. An umbrella, a piece of shade cloth, a simple cover that blocks direct sunlight. It does not have to be beautiful, it just has to work. A shaded bird bath stays cooler. A shaded feeder does not burn feet. A shaded resting area gives birds a place to recover during the hottest part of the day. In extreme heat, shade matters more than seed. The birds do not need more food. They need access to the food without risking their lives. Think about what all of this means. Every summer morning, the birds in your yard wake before the sun is fully up. They race to eat, to drink, to prepare before the heat becomes dangerous. They pant on your feeder, losing water with every breath. They spread their wings on your fence, trying to dump excess heat. They avoid the perch that burned them yesterday. They retreat into deep shade and sit motionless for hours, conserving every calorie, waiting for the temperature to drop. And then, in that golden hour before dark, they come back. They eat, they drink, they sing. They prepare for the night. And somewhere in that desperate daily cycle, they visit your yard. Not because it is the closest yard, because you made it survivable, because you cleaned the water, because you moved the feeder into the shade, because you gave them one place in the neighborhood where the heat does not win. So look at your yard today. Check the bird bath. When did you last scrub it? Feel the feeder perch. Is it sitting in direct sun? Watch for the panting, the drooped wings, the midday silence. These are not signs of a lazy summer afternoon. They are distress signals from animals that cannot ask for help. And every single one of them is something you can fix before tomorrow morning. If you changed something in your yard today because of this video, tell me what it was in the comments. I read every single one. And if this helped you understand what your birds are going through this summer, share it. Someone's yard could be safer because of you. There is a lot more happening in your backyard than you think. I will see you in the next mystery.